Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we have another guest, my colleague actually, Alysson, to talk about her experience getting into technical program management. So Alysson, do you want to quickly talk about yourself, like what your degrees are, like how you got into technical program management?
Sure. So I did a Bachelor of Arts, and then I did a law degree, which is 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I actually did practice law for about 4 years, 4 to 5 years, and then I ended up switching into technical program management.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like what made you want to like go from a lawyer to program manager, and how did you get into like tech as a field?
It wasn't expected,
Yeah.
I guess. I was working in criminal law, so that's long hours.
Yeah.
It's very challenging work. I was looking for something, I think, with a little bit more work-life balance. Law obviously is not known for work-life balance. And I actually had a friend that I had interned with back when I was a law student,
Okay.
who was working in consulting and program management, I guess. And so
That's interesting because consulting is very demanding by itself too.
it's also like it wasn't just work-life balance, I guess. It was also, I wanted to get out of the adversarial context. Like
Okay.
law is our legal system is adversarial, right?
Yeah.
From British common law. So
Yeah.
you have a winner and a loser.
I see.
And you're working, I think that the premise is that you get to the truth, right? By having two adversarial parties. And I wanted to work in an environment that was more collaborative.
Okay.
Like I wanted to be working with people and having common goals, rather than being in a work environment or in a day-to-day environment where you're constantly
I see.
preparing to litigate or
Yeah.
litigating, preparing to fight with people, fighting with people.
So then how did you go from consulting to our current role, technical program manager?
When I was in a consulting role, I was effectively, helping program business operations and supporting like product management teams and finance teams within a tech company.
Yeah.
And so the consulting firm that I went to originally specialized in a lot of specialized kind of in supporting tech companies or serving tech companies. So we had a number of tech clients, and so that's kind of how I ended up in the tech environment specifically.
Yeah.
And then being in the tech environment, and I think one of the reasons I was hired is like the skill set is like with law, there is some crossover, right? I think you were alluding to this, like there's crossover between the skills that are required in law and the skills that are required in program management or in consulting, of like organization, communication, strong communication, prioritization, being able to prioritize things. Being
hardworking.
Yes, hardworking.
Working in stressful environment.
Yes, stressful, time-sensitive environments. Environment where everything is important, where everything has to get done right now, and being able to kind of, even though the pressure is high the timing is important, being able to just like work within that environment, I guess, is useful. That's a skill that you gain in law, that I think applies much more broadly, I guess. And then I guess moving that skill.
And then consulting give you that tech exposure.
Yes.
And then you started working in tech.
Yeah. And so and I was like, well, this is a similar, it's maybe a different subject, right? Technology, but it's a similar, like an environment that, high volume, time pressure. It's also like, it's innovative, it's dynamic, it's always changing, which I liked. You're always working with on new projects, on trying to find new innovative ways to do things. You're working with driven, intelligent people, things that I enjoyed about law, but in a different, more collaborative context.
I see. Yeah.
And then challenging myself, the intellectual stimulation that you get from
Do you find it hard breaking into the field? Because I understand that from law to consulting, maybe it's more of an easier transition, because consulting is more broad. But once you started joining the tech field, do you feel like in terms of like getting interviews or like breaking into the field, do you find any challenges with your law degree?
Like specifically for tech, I think the consulting, I think you're right. Like the consulting kind of built a nice bridge.
Yeah.
Because I was able to kind of get in the door there with the law skills, and then because I gained the tech experience in consulting, that helps me get into the door in the tech world.
Yeah.
When I came to my current position, or not even my current role, but like when I first transitioned to kind of like an in-house program manager at a tech company, I guess I was able to get my foot in the door through, because a lot of the skill set, again, like the skills were very similar to what I'd been doing in consulting.
Like you went from being in the law field and you went to consulting, and after consulting you went into tech. So what are some of the skills that you think like transitioned throughout your different roles, and like what made you like a desirable candidate for like a technical program manager role?
So a couple of things. I think I don't have a technical background, obviously, so there are technical program managers who come from engineering, who come from a more technical background, and obviously that's a specific advantage or skill set that that the folks hiring for these roles would be looking for. When I don't have that, I do think though that I offer other things. I guess what my background in law and consulting gave me is I think it really strengthened my communication skills, my people skills, and my problem solving skills. So like in law and in program management, you're doing a lot of problem solving.
Yeah.
I think. So because you're helping, you're helping drive, I guess in both cases, I'm trying to think here.
Yeah.
Both cases you have a specific outcome or deliverable or case that you want to present, right? And you have to build up to that. And in order to get to that end point that you've identified or have a vision of, you need to basically work backwards.
Yeah.
And that's like the herding the cats part. You're corralling
Yeah.
people, you're corralling work,
Yeah.
you're helping, like there's a lot happening and a lot of work being done, and they're really counting on you to be able to like connect all the dots and help pull it all together and make sure that it's all going to come together into a single timely deliverable or piece of work. And so, and then like along the way, of course, so you're kind of, there's like that backwards looking aspect, I think, and that's huge in law, right? Because you're thinking about a trial or an outcome you want, and then you have to work backwards from that about how to get there.
I see.
And then I guess like you've done the backwards looking reasoning, and then like as you're working through these steps, different problems come up, different things that you haven't anticipated happen, deadlines move, people leave,
Which
somebody
is similar to what we're doing
maybe
right now.
priorities change. So there's all sorts of like, things that pop up, and this probably goes to like agile and all, a lot of concepts
so
you
agile
actually
project
see.
management, having that timeline.
Yes,
I see it.
and things change as you're trying to get to this goal. And so I do think that like working in law, like you do a lot of problem solving, you do a lot of working through like, I don't want to say, well, that is conflict, because you're inherently in conflict in a legal case, but program management, you're not in conflict, but there might be like competing goals or a lack of clarity around what the scope is, or like what's needed, or things like that, or stakeholders that maybe were missed and need to be engaged. Like all these types of challenges. And so it falls to you as the program manager who kind of owns this end to end to help resolve those in a way that's efficient, that's effective, that's timely, that's like a solution that actually works for everyone. So I think problem solving is a really big part of it, and then communication is part of that too, right? And to work through any problem, you need to be able to like work with people, communicate, communicate concerns, help find solutions. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and the fact that we work for a software company, do you think it was quick for you to pick up the lingo? Like, because from what I know, you work on database projects quite a lot. Like, do you think like picking up the different terms and different technologies was a challenge? Or like, how do you learn on the spot when you're given a project?
Okay, yeah.